Good evening, and welcome to WANA Live, the reading series of the Writers Association of Northern Appalachia. I'm your host, Damian Dressing. This is your other host.
Christina Fasonic. You were missing from us last week, Damien, and I had to have a bring in a co-host to take over for you. So glad that you're back.
I was driving for a very, very long time. I was down in the Big Easy doing some research for an upcoming essay collection.
Yeah, and we missed you, but we had the hilarious writer Laura Jackson on, so she could talk about her book a little bit, and then we had a wonderful writer. So we also have a fantastic writer tonight. Would you like
We
that
do, we
for our
do,
audience?
we do. Yes, we have Patrick McGinty tonight. So I'm excited about Patrick being on here. He is the author of the novel Test Drive from Propeller Books in 2022, and he's also the author of the forthcoming Town College Crypto Road from the University of Wisconsin Press. That'll be coming out next year. And he teaches at Slippery Rock University, so I could pick up a rock and quite possibly hit the window of Patrick's office from my house. So let's bring him on out here.
Would it be a slippery rock?
Well, no, because then it would fall in the yard, and it would be no.
I didn't know that. That's great. We'll have to talk later.
Yeah.
Do you live here in the Rock, Patrick?
No, I live down in Pittsburgh.
Oh, you got good sense, I'll tell you.
I was just fishing in Slippery Rock Creek yesterday, so I'm up there a lot doing different outdoorsy stuff I can't do in Pittsburgh.
Cool.
We like how vibrant the Slippery Rock campus is during the semester. There's students everywhere, and it's nice to see.
Yeah, it's a good spot.
Yeah.
A lot
So,
of energy. All right.
so what will you be reading for us tonight?
I do have, Test Drive, which was mentioned and is very Pittsburgh-centric about the driverless car sector. But I have this book coming out next fall of 2025, and it's very much a small steel town, Rust Belty Appalachian sort of opening, and it just kind of feels right for me to give it a little, for lack of a better word, test drive here, since I'll be doing hopefully more stuff next fall. But I was excited to maybe read some of this for the first time.
So could we call this a premiere in marketing terms?
Yeah.
All right, we're the premiere.
The first ever.
Yeah.
We've had many of those premieres on this show over the years where people are like, this is the first time I'm reading from this collection.
You're not making him feel special, Christina.
Oh, and thank you for being special. Anyway, so we will disappear and we'll see you in a few minutes.
Great. All right. You don't need to know anything. I'll just read the first, open a couple pages of this novel that's going to be out next fall. Here's the thing you've got to remember about Kurt's town. It is small and there are eyes everywhere. Take the aluminum bleachers. There's 10 parents to a row over there. The fathers lean forward. Mothers are pinned with picture buttons, the rough shape and weight of screw-off mayo lids, and the round contraptions may as well be a third open eyeball. The makeup on these moms, scarce or on parade, no exceptions. Siblings peek from beneath the bleachers, their glow stick necklaces snapped and lunar, so bright that the patriotic tattoos on their faces seem to vibrate, radiate, hum. The grandfathers are less active, but they're alive and watchful. Their jaws are knobby with what Kurt knows as a fourth grader to be Kodiak straight, perhaps Copenhagen long cut, though Kurt is pretty sure that most men in town prefer their tobacco straight. It's a big turnout for the 4th of July championship game. Eyeballs are everywhere, which is why Kurt has to be sly about sizing up the yellow-shirted Presbyterian kid playing first base. The first baseman is far too freakishly large to be 10 years old. Certain girls their age can sprout like that, but boys, no way. Not usually. That is no regular 10-year-old, thinks Kurt Boozle, who is seated on the bench with his maroon squad, scratching a whiny knee with 4 fingers. That out there at first base is a violation, potential fraud. The guy's pants are not Pinto League baseball pants. It's possible the coach had to borrow the pants from the minors, as in 5th graders. The pants are long, baggy sacks, and the kid is flat out stuffing them. God, would Kurt like a closer look. Unfortunately, his teammates do not seem primed for a late-game rally. The bottom of the 6th has snuck up on the Maroon Catholic squad. Urgency is lacking. It's hot out. Pants itch. The boy seated next to Kurt is working a short, stable twig against the wet brown cake in his cleats. Teammates spit onto the pelt of seeds that their feet just barely can touch. Kathy's father helps her wiggle her head into a hard batting helmet. Kurt's math has them down. 10-9, and his math is rarely wrong. He pays attention. He is observant in a way that others aren't, as though his eyes are way above himself, raised on straws, crab-like. It's as though he's already seated at a raised remove in the bleachers with the adults who watch as Kurt's father walks to the mound. The man raises his glove toward the truly bonkers big first baseman. He is clean-shaven. His father, that is. Kurt's going to launch a real serious investigation into the freakazoid at first and whether the kid is handy with a razor. But as for Kurt's father, he wears jeans that button high. The man knows how to sit in a chair and quit a drip without a phone call, and he has a way of presenting his arms as though they're tattooed with seething winds of rare color, when in fact his arms are as undecorated as the walls in his office at the boys' juvie. The man is a counselor. He's actually head of security, but he considers himself more of a counselor to the boys, all of whom refer to the rural, state-owned correctional facility as the Rectum. Kurt's father calls the place work. In the far top corner of the bleachers, Kurt's mother claps. She tunnels her hands around her mouth. All right, pitcher. Her cheeks are neither high nor low. She is buttonless. She gets excited for his games, but not its ancient laws and parental customs, nor the sticky perms and bobs surrounding her. Her hazel strands are modest. His father's smile, however, it's far from modest. The man spots his wife yelling, and his sweaty red face flexes into a twisted grin, a mouthy wink. Some deal is struck between them. They communicate so effortlessly. His parents exhibit and reside within a crazy, powerful love, a kind that can durably journey across the earth's many elements: aluminum, wood, dirt and grass, ground chalk. His mother is so confident in their love that she's fine being the lone solo spectator there in the bleachers. The rest of the crowd is quite observably partnered. People are draped all over each other like the cheap American flags on short chain link. July be damned, girls and boys and women and men smushed together. Love, Kurt feels, isn't about touching and hand-holding. Ick. He looks at his parents and thinks, love equals learning. More specifically, love equals learning secret communication. Kurt looks at the first baseman. He flexes his chest. He has the sense that it looks more like his shoulders are performing sign language. What he wants to communicate to the big first baseman is, man, you're bigger than the water tower. The big, freakish, amazing guy is at least twice as big as Bobby Montecero, who churns his cleats inside the batter's box. The yellow Presbyterians in the field hold their knees, punch their gloves. His father's first pitch comes in softly and too low for Bobby's taste. And now here comes Kurt's brother, Luke, along the first base fence line. His hair is neck-length, viceful. His jeans have gone missing at the knee. Threadsicles wag carelessly. In heat, the guy's hair looks even greasier than it does at mass, and at mass, the guy looks downright gross. The white altar server albs have a way of somehow highlighting his brother's greasiness. Kurt doesn't get why their parents don't just let the guy quit the service. He doesn't get why you have to be in 5th grade to serve. Kurt has been gumming down communion for 27 months and is still patiently waiting for any benefit beyond a wafer. He wants to be involved, to be seen near the altar. It's not like he'd do a worse job than his brother. Look at him, thinks Kurt. The guy's sneakers don't even have laces. The girl beside him, though. Whew, moly. Her white stretchy shirt is nothing like Kurt's pants. It stretches the right parts and reveals the right parts. Her shorts consist of more fringe than flat actual denim. Kurt would bet his Elite Series Rawlings glove that she is only here because someone had just now chased them out of whatever 3-walled corridor they'd been hiding in, a pickup or barn, maybe one of the high school's rear coves. The two of them have clearly been discovered and exiled and have now arrived with 91.666% of the game's outs already in the bag. Some of Kurt's earliest memories entail hot evenings watching Luke play at this very field, and yet Luke can't bother to show up on time to watch his brother in church league baseball, where there's a team for Methodists, Catholics, and Baptists. The Presbyterians require multiple squads. Strikeouts are of the merciful sort, where it's in the best interest for the batter to have a seat after 9 or 10 fetal pitches. Post-game handshake lines mutter a made-up word known only to children: "Ga-game." Most crucially, the team that wins their final game in the season gets a framed picture of their squad. The picture is underscored by a single word, champs. Kurt is pretty sure about this champs thing. He overheard some of the older kids talking about a plaque even. His father will be a champ. Kurt and Dad, no Luke. Only 3 batters are in the way. It's a sure thing. In the history of church league baseball, 3 straight outs are the rarest of robins. It doesn't happen. Although his maroon team is still down, 10-9. His father has 1 or 2 more outs, 1 or 2 more throws before it starts to get awkward for Bobby out there. In all honesty, awkward has been achieved. Bobby has swung and missed several times. Yawns dot the bleachers. Glow stick wattage is high, as is the smell of grills. The first baseman is high too, as in tall, visible. He's huge. Even from the bench, Kirk can spot the guy's cup, a hard inhuman curve that becomes especially visible whenever he straightens. If touched, would it make a wooden or plastic sound, hollow or dense? Maybe Kirk could run tests in one of Luke's secret kissing spots. Kurt and the first baseman could graffiti Luke Sucks on the brick, sign their names, the works. No one would stop them. No one could scold or nag this first baseman. Power equals being so hugely visible yet walking the world without pushback, a full-bodied ghost. A pitch comes in, and there it goes. Bobby bloops a childish punt out to left field. It sends the shortstop backpedaling, a surefire single. Except there's an outfielder, and he's running with an outstretched glove. His steps are jagged and strange with his arm like that. The poor kid is running as though carrying a shallow bucket of poisonous snakes. Meanwhile, backpedal. The shortstop steps are brisk and choppy. His eyes are straight up. The ball is falling now, faster, and it bothers Kurt so much that Bobby's would-be hit nestles squarely in the shortstop's black glove. The glove isn't even broken in. The leather curls in on itself all claw-like, a rib cage with slight yawn. The glove is fresh off the rack. No snap, no wear. It's just plain dumb luck that the kid catches Bobby's ball, although what happens next strikes Kurt as comeuppance. The shortstop, ball and glove, backpedals straight into the running outfielder. They crash into the grass that's as stiff as fourth grade print. One of them briefly cries, then is fine. 1 out, last inning. And to hear how that opening inning concludes, I guess buy the book in, a year and change.
That was great. I knew that I was going to like it when you started talking about the dad who buttons his pants up high. And I kept thinking to myself that, did he say this happened in Moundsville, West Virginia? Because that's my hometown, and I could really identify with a lot of the characters and what we're seeing as you were going through this beginning part of the book. What's the book called again?
Well, it's either Town College Crypto Road or Town College City Road. We're still going back and forth. A lot of my books end up being about like the presence of tech. Like this first one was about the driverless car sector, and this one's eventually gets into sort of cryptocurrency. And a lot about how like it's a lot of tech novels. It's like they have to be set in San Francisco or New York, but like certainly in Pittsburgh and certainly in these regions, like I actually think it's really interesting to look at these Appalachian and Rust Belt areas and places that are so often not hungry for a new narrative, but like talks of revitalization or renaissance or whatever are so present that sometimes tech can come in and almost be predatory or sort of sell a certain message. And so honestly, in this opening chapter, like I'm just trying to create something that's as recognizable and normal and feels like people know places like this before other events occur. I really appreciate you saying that, Christina. I tell that to my students all the time. Like I feel like this opening chapter is a good example of me practicing what I preach, which is just like your places are worth. I say to students all the time, I'm like, your places are worth language, are worth storytelling, are worth attention. I mean, almost every single person, every mom with a big button or a mom with a perm or a grandpa chewing, like that's me growing up in Western PA. My parents are from Grove City. I grew up, outside Pittsburgh. Like I'm like the king of 79 most days, going up and down and back and forth. So this just feels like, me trying to practice what I preach as far as like, capturing places that many of us in this region know.
Yeah. And aren't always well articulated because of poverty porn and that whole business of, trying always to make it seem like, oh, these poor Appalachian people, but they brought it on themselves. I mean, this is like, depicting what you see, what it feels like, what it is like to be here in a way that isn't overly romanticized, but also not in the other direction where, oh, these poor pitiful Appalachians who can't take care of themselves, but it's all they're doing. That's because they're dumb and lazy and uneducated and all the things that people say about us. So yeah. I appreciate
kids don't know that story. Like a person at this age starts to have that. I mean, yes, we receive all this cultural information and whatnot, but yeah, I really appreciate you saying that. I definitely wanted to have something that was, I think a lot of my writing, I wanted to be high energy, not sad sack. Yes, like bad stuff happens. It's art and novels and whatnot. But I really do. I certainly respond to other artists who bring like a lot of, at the language level, the story level, just like energy, vitality. Yes, there's certainly people doing more dour topics that require a different type of writing. But yeah, I definitely, when I'm writing about our region, I want it to seem like energetic and fresh and newly invented.
Yeah, no, the novel has a wonderful narrative voice to it. Yeah, big energy, fast, very conspiratorial with the reader too. I like that. Reminds me a little bit of Brock Clark in the like sort of the way you're putting some things together.
Yeah. What do I write from Brock Clark?
Probably the Arsonist's Guide.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like to, and Thread Sickles, you had me at Thread. That's freaking great.
No, well, thank you. That's
lovely.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's like, again, that's not that ripped jeans aren't can be anywhere in this country in different ways, but like I have vivid memories of being at like Memorial Day, Labor Day, 4th of July things up in Grove City, and thinking that the teens who were like into Nirvana and Pearl Jam and stuff, like they just like their jean shorts, just like, I was like, how do they make it do that? Like, how do they make that, like that rain, that like thread rain come off the ends? Like, it's something that I remembered very distinctly from there, then also from down in like Washington County, doing other family down there. And like as I was writing this, I was trying to really remember what it was like being at those cookouts or community centers, and again all over Western PA, whether it's Monessen and Duquesne. Like my great aunt went to a lot of stuff there in different areas, and yeah, I just remember there's a certain thing about kids. I don't know if they were all trying to be Cobain in some way or something. I don't remember this particular era, but yeah, that Thread Schools line was, I think I even found a picture from there, and I saw some older kid in the background, and I was like, oh man, I used to think those jeans were so cool. And I probably wrote like 50 lines about those jeans in like the first draft of this, and then just decided on Thread.
I think that's great. That's a great thing for anybody's creative writing students. Like, this seems like it's effortless, but there's actually 49 words got cut to keep the one.
Yes, that's definitely the type of thing where my wife was like, my God, their jeans, like just when she's reading a draft, like just pick one. I mean, she does this to me all the time, where she's just like, just pick one, pick two, maybe,
Well, as you were talking about where you've seen these jeans, I couldn't help but think of the Clarks, because you know what they would say at the Fayette County Fair, right? Because back then, I mean, you're right. Like at every fair, at every street festival, everybody wore these ripped up jeans that looked like they'd been attacked by Freddy Krueger or something like that. And people are starting to wear those again, but they just don't seem to be as extreme.
Yeah.
I think it was the combination of bleach from trying to bleach your jeans would make the fabric deteriorate. And then the longer you wore them and you cut them off, the strings would just start, pouring out.
Yeah. And there's also, I'm thinking too of like my entire summers were going to, I mean, church fairs, community fairs, holiday, whatever. It was just like some kind of half lame, half carny, half like sort of thing that I know that's the different versions of that exist everywhere, but certainly it just felt like fish fry season into like, sort of summer carnival stuff. Like it was just a very sort of Catholic Western PA sort of thing, which I think is like, I haven't done that much talking about this. So I'm sort of therapizing in real time. Like, why did I write all this stuff? Why am I so fascinated by this? By next fall, I'll probably have a very honed sort of line or two about all this. But
it was really the jeans that I saw on the people, on the thoroughfare. That would be your refined version, right? But it's funny that you talk about those fairs though, because right at this moment, there is a Catholic street festival just down the street from my house.
Yeah,
it's going on right this very minute. So that's the season.
And it's like different too. I mean, I don't know every culture everywhere, but like I remember going down south to visit family, like other cousins and stuff, and like theirs were more little more like chaste, like at least they're sort of Lutheran and different, like it wasn't like a Western PA Catholic like church fair is like there's like people trying to make out behind like a duck pin thing or whatever. It's kind of like a seedy community thing in a way, and I remember going down south to one and just be like, oh, this is very different. This is like very like people.
There's no beer barrel polka.
Yes, well, yeah, certainly none of that. People are like wearing like collars and stuff. I was like, what is this?
Interesting. Well, we are certainly glad that you've joined us. Damien, you want to say a few words?
Oh, I was just going to say, so you are with the University of Wisconsin Press.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's been great so far. I mean, it's always funny to me when people are like, my press is great. It's like, well, duh, they will like your stuff. Like, of course they do. Like, it's like a band that's like, we have the best fans ever. It's like, of course they love you. Like, you should think that. But yeah, they've been really great so far. I mean, I'm just getting, just turned in the final.
We've heard very good things about them. One of a very close friend is with them as well. So we've heard good things.
Yeah, I was at the East Liberty Library today in Pittsburgh, and one of their books was like in the front display. I recognized. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, nice. I was like, I love to see it.
Super cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for making the time on this July evening to join us.
Thanks so much for having me. This is wonderful. I will not be a stranger. I look forward to coming more and just being safely invisible in the future.
And that's the best thing. There's no Zoom, so there's no Zoom bombing, and there's no, it goes pretty quickly.
Yeah, this is great.
Thank you so much for being on. And
good night, y'all.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.